was just perusing the hotness, and you know what? I noticed at the top of the list, there's 5 really interesting games. And rather than going and trying to answer the questions by myself, why, I thought I might share my research with you. See, sometimes stuff pops up on that list and you just have no idea why it's there. Don't worry. I'm doing the work for you, so stick around. We're going to go over the 5 most viral games right this second. Number 5 on the list is Windmill Valley. I've recently talked a little bit about this game. I like Danny Garcia. No, I don't know Danny Garcia. I like Danny Garcia's designs. Arborea, maybe, I think that's how you actually say it. I have no idea. Was a very interesting worker placement game. So was Barcelona. I enjoyed both of those. This is Windmill Valley. It's still in pre-order on a lot of sites. However, it's releasing very, very, very soon. And there's some good things being said about it. Rado said, I can't imagine a universe that this is not in my top 10. David from Man vs. Meeple praised it, saying it's yet another hit from Board and Dice. The ratings so far, while there aren't a ton of them, there is a consensus at 8. It's not a top heavy 9 or 10 distribution, which leads me to believe that this is going to kind of level itself out. It's likely not a future top 100 game. However, there's a really interesting action selection mechanism. Speaking of mechanisms, in the 2 gears that you're essentially spinning around on each turn and choosing one of those actions. In some cases, I believe you actually choose both of them. And that seems to be kind of the big hook here. Danny is known for interesting action selection and seems to be delivering it again here. On top of that, the game is absolutely beautiful. So a new game, interesting Euro, interesting action selection, not your normal worker placement game, is clearly piquing some interest here, and is probably why it's sitting at number 5. My hype level is a 7 out of 10. I want to play it. Clearly, it's not something I haven't pre-ordered, and I'm probably not buying out of the gates. If I see it pop on sale at some point, I may pick it up, or if I get a review copy for whatever reason, I'll be happy to play it. Number 4 on the list, Deep Regrets. This is the first of 3 crowdfunding games on this list. Deep Regrets looks pretty cool. I think its aesthetic alone is what's catapulting it near the top of the list, because there's actually very little coverage out there. In fact, the best overview I found was from Shelf Clutter. Go check him out. That is a great channel, by the way, especially if you're into Kickstarter crowdfunding type stuff. I digress. Pretty good overview over there, but essentially this is you're a fisherman fishing for horrors in the sea. It is in the Eldritch horror world, I believe, which is probably also pushing some of its popularity. It looks like it's a dice rolling catching a fish game. I don't know. It looks actually pretty unique. I don't really have a whole lot to say other than it's probably sitting up there because of its aesthetic, because of its adjacency to kind of that Cthulhu world. And it does look like the gameplay is pretty interesting. But on aesthetic alone, I am slightly more excited than Windmill Valley. My hype meter is sitting at around a 7.5 here. I have not backed it. I'd love to see some more coverage on it, some more gameplays before I do, but it's in the consideration. Number 3 is Brink from Ivy Studios. This is the most recent Ivy Studios release, so naturally it's going to kind of shoot near the top of this list here. It's in that Moonrakers world, and from what I gather, it's worker placement. Or actually, here, I'll just read the line. Brink is a worker placement, trading, hidden voting game that brings the world of Moonrakers to a new game. What are people saying? Shelfside. I thought this was odd that Shelfside had a video out on it. They don't typically do prototype stuff, but they're giving it a tentative rating of 6 of 10. That's tough, especially from such an influential channel. Legion of Games calls it his 3rd or 4th favorite game from Ivy Studios. Thinker Themer says, for our taste, it seems to swing a bit hard into negotiation. Board Game Co. was the one kind of detractor from that consensus that I saw. He really liked it and thought it was a standout hit for him and gave it a 5 out of 5. So there is some dissenting opinions there. All these videos, by the way, will be linked in the description. Go check them out and make the the decision for yourself, of course. It looks like the criticisms are game length here and negotiation. Not a lot of people like negotiation for whatever reason. I think I would actually really like negotiation. That's the thing that kind of got me intrigued here. Length and the need to have kind of play it in a larger group. Both of the things put together make it really tough for me to table. Typically, if I have the larger group games, I have a hard time getting them to the table and engaging my group if they're long. So that might be a non-starter with me, but you know, negotiation heavy actually sounds pretty cool. My hype level, however, has been, as I kind of went through and watched these reviews, is a little bit lower than I would have actually imagined. I was actually really surprised by the lower ratings that I saw in the unpaid previews, which, by the way, that's probably also why this is being hyped. It looks like there's a decent amount of paid coverage. That I didn't go and do the count, but it seems like there was a decent amount there. And I guess it may just be my algorithm, but it seems like every board game video I click on right now, I'm getting an ad for this, which is pretty abnormal. So it looks like Ivy Studios is putting a lot of money and marketing behind this game, which also has me pause a little bit until I play it. So, you know, that is keeping my hype level a little bit lower. All right, number 2 is Defenders of the Wild. This is a game that I have backed. I've spent my hard-earned money on this thing, and it got me in 2 ways. Spirit Island and Root. Cute woodland creatures defending their homeland from an invading force, which are mechanical robots that start in the middle of the map and want to spread and build their factories and pollute your lands. You're fighting them back through light asymmetry. There has been some fairly recent coverage on this. It looks like they've continued to send some prototypes out there. I didn't get one, unfortunately, because I would have loved to have played it before giving you any sort of thoughts on it and talking about why I backed it. It was frankly a knee-jerk back. And the reason why this is hitting number 2 right this second is that its pledge manager is closing really soon. I believe it's the 12th. Don't quote me on that. Hopefully by the time you see this video, you'll have at least a day to check it out. But the aesthetic looks great. Anytime you invoke the words of Spirit Island, cascading failure that comes with that, cute woodland creatures, and light asymmetrical powers that are accessible in the Root style, I think Root puts a lot of people off in that kind of take that nature, having a co-op or at least on the surface comparison. You know, I don't think it's really anything like Root, but you know, those terms get thrown around, and that's why this thing pops up to the hotness. My hype level is obviously pretty high. I'd call it about an 8, and that's relative to kind of something else I'm really hyped about, which is foreshadowing to the next game. But I backed it, so you know, I think this will be widely available at retail, and you know, you could probably wait until you maybe see my review on it at some point when it delivers. All right, and number 1. All right, I guess I have three reasons why this is number 1. Cole Worley, Leader Games, and the reputation that brings. Any sort of new game that's delivering right this second is going to vault up top. But then I think pretty uncharacteristic to Shut Up and Sit Down, they put a very early review out. And I think that's, when I say early, that's not a pejorative. That's, you know, I believe they've been playing it on TTS quite a bit. And in fact, I didn't watch it, so I don't exactly know what was said, but they're basically calling it, at least in the thumbnail, their 2024 game of the year already. And when Shut Up and Sit Down speaks, people listen. When Shut Up and Sit Down praises, people buy. And this game is already likely to be sitting in that number 1 spot, but you add that early review on something that is yet to actually come out of that pre-order and is still delivering to backers or just getting done delivering to backers. It's a recipe for number 1. And on top of that, when you look at the distribution of ratings, it's a consensus 10. When I say consensus, meaning like the most number of ratings out of all of the numbers are a 10. It's incredibly top heavy. And the whisperings that I've heard, and I say whisperings because I've tried my best not to watch coverage because I don't want to poison my perspective any more than it already is, because I am a Leader Games fanboy, as some of you may know, and I'm really, really looking forward to this. I guess I already just jumped forward to my hype level here. Anyways, this has gotten pretty close to universal praise. Ratings are really, really high. This definitely has the makings of a future top 100 game. I would be highly surprised, based upon early assessments, and without me playing it, just the hype alone, I'd be highly surprised if this didn't make top 100. Granted, it's going to regress. Backers and leader fanboys such as myself are definitely more likely to rate this thing high. And that goes to my hype level is unfortunately off the charts. I hate getting so hyped on something because I feel like it sets it up for disappointment. That's why I didn't watch the Shut Up and Sit Down review, and I didn't watch any other real coverage on the game. I want to make my my opinion my own, and in fact, it's arriving literally today. So I'm getting pretty excited about it. So hype level, it's honestly, it's a 10 out of 10 through the roof. And that is the top 5 viral games right this second. What are you the most hyped about? Are there any games in this list that you are just really excited to get to the table or have delivered to your house? And of these, what have you backed? Because I believe everything but Windmill Valley was or is a crowdfunding campaign. Have you backed any of these? And what do you want to see coverage the most on this channel? And with that said, thank you very much for being here. Have a great week.